Hi there, I'm Mistel Godlewski, an American girl who called the cornfields of Illinois home until over 10 years ago when I started navigating the chaos of life overseas. If you've ever felt that itch for something more, that whisper telling you to break free from the ordinary, you're in the right place. This podcast is your backstage pass to the wild ride of moving abroad. I'm here to pull back the curtain on the real journey, sharing stories that are funny, dramatic, and sometimes downright unbelievable. We'll explore the gritty details, from battling culture shock and navigating tricky visa processes to celebrating those small victories that make it all worth it. So whether you're daydreaming about a new life abroad or already in the thick of it, grab your passport and let's explore what it really means to live life beyond borders. Welcome to A Broadly Speaking. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to the A Broadly Speaking podcast. My name is Mistel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. We are talking today about something that will sting a little bit, but save you months of wasted effort when you're trying to apply abroad. And that is the fact that if you read the title, your job title doesn't mean shit abroad. I love you, and I know this is uncomfortable. You've worked so hard for that title. You earned the senior manager, the director of strategy, the head of people experience. You've built your entire career to get there and to get around it. And the second you apply for jobs overseas, your title stops translating. And your resume, the one that you're so proud of, that you worked so hard on, it probably is working against you. So today I want to chat with you about why your American resume falls flat in other countries, how your job title gets lost in translation, and what you can do today, right now, once you finish listening to this, to make your experience actually land and actually hopefully get that interview abroad. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and give you the bad news first. You're not saying what you think you're saying. The biggest mistakes that most Americans make when they're trying to apply for jobs abroad is they assume that professional language is universal. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's not. You think senior director of marketing strategy makes sense everywhere. It sounds impressive. A hiring manager in Europe, though, reads it and thinks, oh, they sound a little full of themselves. Because American resumes are written to sell. International CVs are written to prove. We're taught to brand ourselves. They are taught to qualify themselves. Americans pitch. Europeans present. Americans write like copywriters with fluffy language and beautiful floral, like, woohoo, I've done all these great things, right? On a European CV, we write like accountants. Neither one is wrong, but they don't mix together. So when you send out an American-style resume full of buzzwords, hyperbole, and long paragraphs about how passionate you are, it does not sound confident. It sounds fake. Your resume is screaming, quote unquote, hire me, and they're just trying to figure out if you're actually legit. So let's go into the details, right? I love you, and U.S. job title inflation is absolutely freaking wild. In America, you can be 24 and be the director of operations. You can lead 0 people and still be called a manager. You can coordinate tasks and call yourself a strategic program lead. Abroad, these titles mean something very specific. They map directly to pay grades, reporting structures, and education levels. So when a recruiter in Germany or Switzerland or the Netherlands sees your resume and your title doesn't match your actual duties, you lose credibility. They don't think, wow, that's impressive. They think that person's full of it. And that's why your resume lands like a thud. You're speaking English, but not their English. The truth is, most people aren't rejecting you because you're underqualified. We've talked about this a number of times before on this podcast. They're rejecting you because they can't understand you. Your resume doesn't tell them what you did. It doesn't tell them what specifics you have worked on. It tells them how you feel about it. And hiring managers don't care how you felt. They care about what you delivered. If your bullet points, and I want you right now, if you're not driving, if you have a minute, pause, or later on today, I want you to look at your resume that you're sending out. And does it say something like this? Maybe not exactly, but something similar. Passionate leader committed to driving organizational excellence and cross-functional collaboration. That sounds beautiful on an American resume, but that's not a bullet point. That's a poem. They want on your EU or your rest of world almost CV, led cross-functional team of 8 in executing 3 global product launches. Do you hear the difference? Passionate leader, committed to driving organizational excellence and cross-functional collaboration versus I led a cross-functional team of 8 in executing 3 global project launches. It sounds boring. I get it. But boring wins interviews, and especially outside of the United States. So what does professional look like outside of the US? You know how in the US we're told we're supposed to stand out? Make it personal, be memorable, tell your story. Abroad, being memorable makes people nervous. They want reliable, practical, predictable, proven. Most European, Asian, or even Middle Eastern recruiters are looking for structure, not sparkle. They want a few pages maximum. No photos unless the country requires it, although in Europe, most of the countries require it. They want bullet points focused on measurable outcomes. They want dates that make chronological sense, not creative formatting, not to make it look pretty. They want it to make sense. They want clear education, certifications, and skills. They want to know whether you speak their language or not. Honestly, if you're a beginner, put beginner. Do not put intermediate at French if you've been on Duolingo, even if you have a 2,000-day streak. That's not a thing. Well, if you don't know the language, if you haven't taken formal courses, then don't add that, right? Put English as your native tongue and just leave that. That's it. They're not looking for a curated brand. They're presenting a track record that you have accomplished. So I would like you, again, grab that resume. We're going to do a gut check. If you're applying abroad right now, open your resume and look at these 3 red flags. Do your job titles sound inflated? If your last job was director, but you didn't manage a team, it's okay to change it to something more accurate. Otherwise, they're going to assume you're lying. So try to make something that makes sense in the country that you're moving to. Okay. Look at the job boards for the jobs that you're applying to. See what they're calling similar jobs to what you've had in the past and utilize those job titles as your job title. You can write the description in your CV where you describe what you did, but make sure that the job title that you have matches what you actually did and not some inflated POS that your job came up with, right? If you're using US specific jargon, something like quarterly OKRs, people ops, FMLA, PTO, state licensure, W-2s, delete it. Those things don't mean anything outside the United States unless you're looking for a US job abroad, right? So if you're working for the State Department in Switzerland, great, that helps you. But if you're looking for a job here in Switzerland, a W-2 literally means nothing. A 1099, all of that bullshit means absolutely nothing to any of us unless you're trying to be an accountant in Switzerland for Americans, okay? So make sure that you understand exactly who you're targeting and you remove the US jargon. You use something like FMLA, obviously, is Family Medical Leave Act. What did you do for that? What does that look like for you in your job? Describe it to them, not FMLA, because they don't know what that is. Check if your metrics are too vague. Improved efficiency means nothing. Reduced onboarding time by 30% means everything. For example, as another one, if you were a line cook, I don't know, I'm trying to give you different job examples. If you were a line cook, how many different burgers did you make, and how many people on average did you serve? Okay. If you are a librarian, how many books are in the library? How many customers are you supporting in their research per day on average? Did you reduce the number of overdue library books because you implemented something to less than, you reduced it by 50% because developed some automation to help follow up with people? Have you, I don't know, I work in pharma. How many product launches have you done in the last 6 months or in the last 3 years or whatever it is for you? Personally, I work in divestments and in business development. So I divest products and I bring them into our company. I can say that I supported $15 billion worth of divestments. That means something to someone, but optimizing divestments at a pharmaceutical company doesn't say anything. How? What does that mean? Put numbers behind it as much as you can. If you're in sales, how much on average of sales are you contributing to a month, a year, whatever that is for you? Be specific. Those metrics matter. I want to make sure that you also don't sound like a motivational speaker in your resume. If your resume reads like an inspirational TED talk, tone it down. They don't need to know that you persevered through hardships. They need to know what you physically actually accomplished. And if you've left out context, for example, international recruiters don't know your company. They don't know what you do. So add a line about what it does and how big it is, especially if it's not a global company that you're working for. If you're working for a mom and pop shop in Florida, that's amazing. But how many employees are there? What are you doing there? What does the company do? This sounds kind of silly, honestly, and it sounds small, but they are the differences between who is this and, oh, we should interview her. You want to be the reason that they interview you, not the reason they don't. Now I want you for just a second to pull on your big girl or big boy pants because this one's going to hurt a little bit. When you realize that your hard-earned title doesn't carry weight outside the US, it's easy to spiral. It's easy to start thinking, am I not experienced enough? Do I need to start over? What do I do here? The answer is no. You don't need to start over. You just need to recalibrate. You're translating what you have into what they understand. Not to say that you're translating your resume into French, you're translating your American or your British job title into a job title that makes sense in France. Your resume abroad is not a brag sheet, it's a decoder ring. Your job is to show your work in a way that a reader actually understands. Once you do that, it makes so much more sense and everything changes. So how do you translate it? You're like, great, Michelle, that sounds lovely. What do you mean? Here's what actually works. Simplify your job titles. If you were a senior global marketing strategist, just say global marketing specialist. You're not downgrading yourself. You're making yourself readable and relatable. Add a one-line job description under each role. For example, national nonprofit organization serving 50,000 members, right? So it's a job description, high level of what you did overall, but it gives context instantly to what you're proving. Quantify your work. We talked about this before under the metrics, but quantify your work. Managed 3 international accounts worth $1.2 billion annually. Boom, universal language. It makes sense, right? They can translate dollars to euros. It's not a big deal. Use international formatting. Day, month, year, not month, day, year. That means putting the 23rd, 23 OCT, for example, 2025. I don't know. It's 12 June 2018. It is not 1/12/2017, right? Like that doesn't make sense abroad. Europeans will notice, and so will the rest of the world. The more you can make it simple, the better off you are. And then make sure, please, for the love of God, translate Americanisms. High school diploma does not mean anything abroad. You need secondary education. College degree is a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD. post-secondary education, postgraduate school, something like that. Vacation is annual leave or holiday. These micro adjustments make you look like somebody who gets it, not somebody who's just trying to get it, right? I know there's also some confusion because I use CV and resume interchangeably. Let's clear it up because it confuses literally everyone. In the US, a resume is often 1 or 2 pages maximum. It's concise, it's marketing style, it's, hey, look at me, I'm so great. A CV is long, academic, and detailed. A broad CV honestly means resume. They use it interchangeably. So when a job description says, please submit your CV, it does not necessarily mean to submit your 12-page academic portfolio unless you're applying for a research role. In general, you want 2 to 3 pages maximum. You want simple formatting, straightforward language. And if your resume looks like it belongs on Canva, you already lost it. Please, for the love of God, do not use colors on your resume like in your job titles. It's awful and no one wants to hire you when they see that, right? Make sure that your CV fits the format of the country that you're moving to. Have a look online, you can find it. Okay? That's important. This one's a big one. Stop writing like you're begging for the job. Americans write resumes like we're asking for permission, seeking an opportunity to, or excited to bring my skills to, or looking for a chance to contribute. Delete all of that, like now. It screams junior, even if you're not. Abroad, you don't seek, you state. You say experience operations lead with 8 years of experience in logistics and cross-border compliance. Done. Facts. It's confident, it's concise, right? Not, I'm excited to bring my skills in operations for your global company. No. What do you bring to the role? What do you bring to the job? I'm experienced in this. I do this. I've done this. I have the receipts to prove it. Here you go. You're not asking to be picked. You are asking yourself to be presenting in a way that is a solution. Okay. So you're not the one I don't know about the rest of you. I played Heads Up 7 Up when I was a kid. And if this brings back memories, you're sitting with your head down with your thumb up and you're looking to who figured out who put your thumb down, right? That's not what you're doing right now. You are saying, hey, you're picking me. You're sitting straight up and looking at the person in the eye and saying, pick me now. You're not saying, oh, please pick me, please pick me, please pick me. I don't want to be last, right? It's a very different energy. And that's what you need to come in with. So how do you sound and become hireable abroad? If you want to stand out, you need to stop being American impressive and start being internationally clear. That means showing stability and consistency. If you've job hopped and you have a new job every 2 years, unfortunately, that's going to look shitty abroad. I love you, and it looks crappy abroad. Most non-Americans, let's say, stay in jobs for a minimum of 3 to 5 years. And if you're job hopping every 2 years, it starts to look like maybe you don't have the qualifications to do the job correctly, right? Even if you're moving up in roles, it can look like that. So just be aware of that. Include languages, even if you're at the beginner level. I said this before. Please be honest. A 2,000-day streak on Duolingo does not mean that you're fully fluent. If you're not sure, you can take language exams that are pretty affordable. So you get your official language level, right? In most of the rest of the world, there's A1, B1, A2, B2, I'm sorry, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. And those are official language levels. And if you put them on there, you should probably have the test or your diploma that you got from the exam to prove that, right? Or from the lessons to prove that. You need to list software and systems that you actually know intimately. And please, for the love of all things Microsoft, you don't need to put Microsoft Word on there, okay? If you don't know how to use Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft Word, you're already behind the 8 ball. Like, that's an assumed thing. Now, if you are a master in Microsoft Excel, certainly put that on there, right? Those are different things to consider. If there's a word in your resume that sounds like it's a filler word, if it's encouraging, if it's TED Talky, remove it. Recruiters abroad don't have time to interpret your story. If they have to guess what you did, you're already out the door. Okay? I get this is emotional for a lot of people because honestly, it is emotional. Rewriting your resume for another country feels weirdly personal. It's like translating your personality into another dialect. You start worrying that you sound boring, or worse, that you're invisible. But the truth is, boring gets you the interview. Professional credibility abroad isn't about personality, it's about fit. You can be the funniest, most charming, most visionary person in the world, but if your resume doesn't show you can do the job, they'll never know that. Your job isn't to be magnetic, it's to be legible. Once you get the interview, that's where you shine. That's where your personality comes through. That's where you, as the person who needs this job and who wants this job and would be the perfect fit for the organization, that's where that shows up. But you don't get there if your resume doesn't show it. Let's be real. If you've applied to 30 or more jobs abroad and haven't heard back, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's not likely because you're unqualified. It's because your resume doesn't speak the language of the place that you're applying to. And that is totally fixable. You don't need another certification. You don't need a new degree. And you don't need to start over at the bottom in some brand new career unless you actually want to. You need to learn how to frame what you've already done in a way that crosses borders and makes sense across borders. Once you do that, you'll stop getting ghosted because clarity always beats confidence abroad. Here's the bottom line. Your job title doesn't mean shit abroad, but your skills still do. The trick is learning how to translate them into a system that doesn't run on buzzwords or brand names or ego. You're not underqualified. You're just speaking the wrong professional language. And when you finally fix that translation, doors start opening up for you. Interviews start happening for you. I promise. All right, my friend, that's it for today's episode of Broadly Speaking. If you're ready to actually get noticed in your international job hunt and stop screaming into the LinkedIn void, I invite you to join the Departure Lounge this month. It's our private community Discord. This month, we're going through landing a job abroad. It's Get Hired Abroad is the challenge. It's a 2-day challenge where we're going to go through exactly what to put in your resume, exactly how to write a cover letter, as well as looking at networking so that you can actually get the job that you need. If you missed that in last week's episode, go back and listen to last week's episode where we talk about networking and why it's so important. We're rewriting resumes, decoding job titles, and turning maybe someday into interviews and getting you abroad. All right, my friend, remember, you're not too American to get hired abroad. You're just probably a bit too wordy. That's it for this episode. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, friend. Thanks for tuning in to Broadly Speaking. If today's episode got you dreaming a little bigger or thinking a little braver, go ahead and hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who's ready for their own adventure. And hey, don't be a stranger. Come hang out with me over on Instagram at I am Estelle for the real, unfiltered life abroad. Keep that passport handy, and remember, life's too short to stay in one place.